Hi guys, thank you for having me here today. It's a pleasure to speak with you about a crucial aspect of software development, requirements engineering. Uh, Today I will compare how RE is applied in two major development frameworks, the Waterfall and Agile methodologies. Understanding this comparison is key to selecting the right approach for your project, maximizing efficiency and ensuring that the final product aligns with stakeholders' needs. Let's begin with a brief introduction to requirements engineering. At its core, RE is the process of defining, documenting, and maintaining software requirements throughout a project's lifecycle. It plays a foundational role in ensuring that the final system reflects what the stakeholders actually need, rather than just what developers image it to be. And the waterfall model represents a linear and sequential approach to development. In this model, requirements engineering occurs at the very beginning of the project and is fully completed before the design or implementation stages even begin. Essentially, the RE phase is treated as a prerequisite for everything that follows. Now let's highlight some of the key characters of RE in the waterfall framework. First we talk about a sequential process. In waterfall, each phase of development follows the previous one like steps in a waterfall requirements. First, the design, coding, testing, and finally deployment. This linear process ensures that requirements are locked in early. And then we talk about the detailed documentation. During the RE phase, requirements are gathered in exhaustive detail. The entire scope of the project is defined in advance, including all functional and non-functional requirements. Every aspect of the project is documented and signed off before development begins. Then goes to the stakeholder involvement. In the waterfall model, stakeholder engagement is typically limited to the early stage of the project. Once the requirements are set, changes are challenging and often costly to implement. There's minimal flexibility for adaptation later in the development cycle. As an example, image a traditional banking software project. The entire scope, down to the smallest detail, would be documented at the outset. This approach works well for projects where the requirements are unlikely to change and there's little room for uncertainty. Now let's shift to Agile approach. Agile presents a more flexible, iterative progress process that contrasts sharply with waterfall. Requirements engineering in Agile is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process that evolves as the project processing. The key characters of RE in Agile includes uh, iterative approach. In Agile, requirements are constantly revisited and refined throughout the development lifecycle. There is no complete requirements phase as there is in Waterfall. Instead, requirements evolve through iterative cycles of feedback and refinement, and requirements are captured as user stories, which focus on the needs of the end user. These user stories are collected in a backlog and are not static. Developers and stakeholders continually add, modify, and remove items based on real-time feedback. Then, the frequent stakeholder feedback is also important. Agile strives on collaboration with stakeholders, unlike Waterfall, where stakeholder involvement is front loaded. Agile demands ongoing feedback throughout development. This allows for flexibility in adapting to new information, changing needs, and shifting priorities. For example, imagine you are developing a mobile app for a startup. The initial requirements might be minimal, a few core features, but over time, as feedback is collected, additional features and improvements will be made iteratively, keep the project dynamic and responsive to users' needs. So, how do these two frameworks differ when it comes to requirements and engineering? Waterfall's RA is a linear process with a phase completed before the next begins. Agile, on the other hand, is iterative, continuously cycling between requirements gathering, development, and feedback. In Waterfall, changes to requirements after the initial phase can be difficult and expensive. Due to the rigid structure, Agile embraces challenge, allowing for adjustments at any stage without derailing the project. Waterfall involves stakeholders mainly in the beginning, whereas Agile involves them throughout the project, leading to a higher level of customer satisfaction, but also potential shifts in project scope. Waterfall relies on heavy documentation, which Agile uses lighter documentation, focusing on communication and collaboration rather than detailed spaces. To put the images, you are working on a large-scale government IT system, such as a tax processing system where the requirements are fixed and the project must complete with strict regularity guidelines. Here, the waterfall approach might be more appropriate due to its structured planning and documentation. Now consider a startup developing a mobile app aiming at rapid release to market. This project is fluid, with changing user demand and evolving features. In the scenario, agile flexibility and iterative cycle of feedback would ensure that the app remains relevant and responsive to users' needs. So how do we choose between Waterfall and Agile? It depends large on the project's needs, the degree of uncertainty, and the stakeholders' expectations. For projects with clearly defined requirements and minimal expected changes, Waterfall may be ideal. However, for projects where users' needs are constantly evolving or where time to market is critical, Agile offers more flexibility and adaptability. Looking ahead, the line between Waterfall and Agile is becoming increasingly fluid. Many organizations are adopting hybrid models that combine the structured planning of Waterfall with the flexibility of Agile. Additionally, tools like automated testing and continuous integration are bridging gaps between these methodologies, ensuring smoother transition from one phase of development to another, regardless of the framework. In closing, understanding the rules of requirements engineering in both Waterfall and Agile is vital for project success. Each approach has its strengths and challenges, and choosing the right one depends on the specific needs of your project. By doing so, you ensure that your team is set up for success and that the final product meets the user's expectations. Thank you.